Hi, today we will explain the storyline of a movie titled Nocturne, which was released in 2020. Okay, let's get right to the story. A pair of twin girls, Juliet and Vivian, both have a talent for becoming skilled pianists, but Vivian is always better than Juliet. Vivian has been accepted into the prestigious Juilliard School of Arts for next year, while Juliet plans to try again next year, so she practices hard to hone her piano skills. Currently, both of them are students at the Lindberg Academy, which had experienced a tragedy when one of its students named Moira jumped from the top floor. Although several weeks have passed, many still remember the incident and are holding a senior concert competition in memory of Moira. The next day, Juliet, Vivian, and their parents, Cassie and David, prepared to take them back to the dormitory after spending the holiday at home. Though she seemed indifferent, it was clear that Juliet was disappointed about not getting the opportunity this year, but her parents tried to cheer her up and remind her that she was talented. During break time, Juliet, Vivian, and their friends, Max and Alexis, discussed the upcoming competition. Though almost everyone thought Moira was crazy, Juliet considered her brilliant and found the competition odd, given that Moira had recently passed away. However, Vivian saw it as a great opportunity to showcase her skills. From here, Max and Alexis seemed proud of Vivian for winning the concert competition at Juilliard, especially Max, Vivian's boyfriend. Meanwhile, Juliet could only harbor jealousy toward her twin sister, who was not only praised at home but also at school. After lunch, Vivian and Juliet went to the library. By chance, Juliet found Moira's composition book that had fallen off the shelf, and she decided to take it home. After that, Juliet attended Roger's class, her mentor. She said she planned to perform a piece by a composer that Vivian had once performed, which she thought wasn't too difficult, just requiring more practice. However, Roger thought Juliet would fail and advised her to stick to playing Mozart. When the bell rang, Juliet made up her mind to perform another piece. She then used the practice room to practice the movements of her hands in performing the composition, which was still difficult for her. After practicing, Juliet heard the sound of a violin in another room. Strangely, when she entered the room, there was no one inside. Juliet then searched the room, which was where Moira had last practiced. Juliet saw a sun symbol drawn on the wall and remembered Moira's composition book. She took Moira's composition book out of her bag and tried to play it on the piano. While practicing, Vivian's mentor, Dr. Kask, suddenly entered and commented on the song Juliet was playing. He only learned the title of the composition from Dr. Kask. They then discussed the composition Juliet had submitted to him. Dr. Kask knew, but Vivian did not, that Juliet would be performing the same piece. After Dr. Kask left, Juliet looked at the pictures in Moira's book. All the pictures seemed to have symbolic meanings, and the writing was backwards. The next day, Juliet woke up late. She was even more upset to find that her period had come early, but she tried to calm herself down and focus on today's competition. Before performing, Juliet went to the bathroom to calm herself and took an anti-anxiety pill. Her hands were shaking because she was too nervous and wanted to tell Vivian that she was performing the same piece, but Vivian seemed focused on listening to the students who were performing and didn't want to talk. Juliet returned just as Vivian finished her performance. Then, it was her turn. Vivian was stunned to realize that Juliet was performing the same song. Juliet performed the piece solemnly and forgot her nervousness, so caught up in the moment that she was transported to another world. She entered a red hallway on the floor of the practice room, and in one of the rooms, she saw a room glowing yellow. She entered the room and saw herself successfully performing a solo concert. A few seconds later, Juliet came to her senses. Apparently, she had fainted in the middle of her performance. Her teachers, Gordon and Roger, looked worried seeing Juliet, but Juliet was more curious about her performance earlier. Ms. Gordon said Juliet's performance was good, and she wanted to make sure Juliet had taken her calming pills. If so, they were worried Juliet might be feeling unstable or something was bothering her, and they intended to prevent the same tragedy from happening again, which is why they were so concerned. Juliet hurried to catch up with the remaining class, but her mind kept returning to the image in Moira's book. Class ended a few minutes later. Vivian walked past her desk and handed her a piece of paper with a middle finger drawn on it. She was furious with Juliet for not telling her. After class, Juliet tried to apologize and explain, but Vivian was still upset and refused to listen. That day, the winners of the concert competition were announced. Once again, Vivian beat her and won the opportunity to perform a piano solo. Juliet tried hard to hide her disappointment, but Roger reminded her of it when they met for practice. Juliet asked if Roger was proud of her. Roger said he was proud of her. After playing together for 4 years, Roger admitted that Juliet was a good pianist. However, Juliet said she wanted to be more than just good. She wanted to be great. Roger was confident Juliet would become a great pianist, but she didn't need to rush. Besides, according to Roger, Juliet could become a teacher. Juliet didn't like hearing that. In her eyes, she deserved the recognition she had worked so hard for, sacrificing her free time all this time. She didn't want to just be a teacher. Juliet accused Roger of helping her win the competition, but Roger did not respond firmly, saying that Vivian was indeed an outstanding student. Juliet got up, not wanting to continue practicing. She blamed Roger for not taking her side and even belittled him, causing Roger to spontaneously slap her. Juliet reported this to the principal, resulting in Roger being suspended until the results of the investigation were released. Because of this, Juliet was required to change her mentor. She wanted to choose Dr. Kask, who only wanted to mentor students who were serious about pursuing a career in music. The next day, Juliet entered Dr. Kask's class for the first time. Without further ado, Dr. Kask told her to play a melody he mentioned. However, Juliet made a mistake on the third melody, and Dr. Kask immediately criticized her and told her to play the melody she had played in the competition. In the middle of the performance, Dr. Kask suddenly asked why Juliet had changed the piece she wanted to play yesterday, saying that Vivian's technique was not better than Juliet's. Unaccustomed to praise, Juliet blushed and tried to be modest, but Dr. Kask said she deserved the praise. He advised her not to let anything stand in her way if she wanted to be in the spotlight, including Vivian. That night, Juliet opened Moira's book again. She was still curious about the meaning of the images and text inside. She found a symbol identical to one in Moira's practice room. Suddenly, a message from her father made her realize something. She had been reading the book upside down and could now read it through a mirror. She finally understood that the images were arranged in 6 stages. In the middle of the night, Juliet woke up to the sound of a notification on her cell phone. She opened a message from Max asking if she was coming to the senior party. He was waiting for her at the South Field. Juliet went with Max without telling Vivian. When they arrived at the party, Alexis gave Max some illegal pills, which he then shared with Juliet. The party ended at 3 in the morning. Juliet heard Vivian talking on the phone with someone, then ending the call angrily. Max caught Juliet alone, but she couldn't hold back her nausea anymore. After vomiting, she and Max started talking. They revealed their reasons for playing music. Juliet said that she had been obsessed with classical music since she was a child and had forced her parents to enroll her and Vivian in music lessons. However, Vivian's interest was not as strong as hers, even though she was able to outplay Juliet. In the middle of their conversation, Juliet admitted that she had stolen Moira's book. She knew it was wrong, but the book had inspired her greatly, making her more confident. She asked Max to keep what she had told him a secret from Vivian. Then, Juliet discussed the future of Max and Vivian's relationship after they graduated, especially since they would be separated by distance. Max admitted that they were still looking for a solution. Before they could continue their conversation, Vivian suddenly appeared behind them. She was upset that Max seemed affectionate toward her twin sister. Max tried to explain that Vivian had misunderstood, but Vivian continued to confront Juliet until she pushed her. Juliet immediately retaliated, causing Vivian to fall. Realizing she was about to lose control, Juliet ran away to the end of the tunnel. In the middle of the path, Juliet tripped and saw a yellow light at the mouth of the tunnel. The light was so blinding that Juliet didn't notice Vivian running past her and falling off the rock hill. She gasped in shock upon seeing Vivian and Max trying to save her. The light mesmerized her, but only Juliet could see it. The next day, Juliet woke up at her desk and was surprised to find strange letters on a sheet of music and a new drawing of Vivian in the same pose as when she fell. Juliet couldn't remember how she got back to her room and created all of that. At school, she met Alexis and asked what happened last night after Vivian fell, but her teacher, Wilkins, called her to meet the principal, Gordon. Gordon said that Max and Vivian would be suspended and study remotely. Additionally, Vivian's arm was broken in 2 places, so she couldn't play the piano for a while. Juliet was worried because Vivian was supposed to enter Juilliard in a few months, but that was no longer possible considering Vivian was still recovering. For that reason, Gordon and Dr. Cask decided to replace Vivian with Juliet at the concert. Juliet happily agreed to the request. Vivian, of course, found it difficult to accept the decision, but Juliet tried to make up with her. Vivian instead blamed Juliet, saying that Juliet could have called her before she fell. However, Juliet let it go, feeling that something had changed in her twin sister, even though they used to be close. Back in her room, Juliet tried to learn more about Moira and her book. She read an article discussing Moira's background and family. The next day, she asked Max to meet her. As he was the only one she had told about the book, Juliet honestly told him that the images in the book were happening to her now. She hadn't realized it before yesterday's incident. Juliet showed him a picture that resembled Vivian's condition when the accident happened. She also showed him a picture that she thought was herself. Max concluded that the book was describing predictions of the future. However, Juliet quickly corrected him. According to her research, Moira had experienced the same thing before she committed suicide. Moira's mother fell into a coma after falling from a ski lift, and her father burned down their house. To her, it wasn't a coincidence. Max finally urged her to think logically. Moira could have drawn all of that as therapy after experiencing a series of tragedies. She couldn't tell anyone else, so it was easier to draw it. Then Juliet saw the drawing as a projection of her subconscious about the events she had experienced that day. Max thought that Juliet might be stressed about preparing for her concert in 2 weeks. After that, Juliet felt bad and agreed with Max. She admitted that she might need to talk about what was on her mind, so Juliet decided to just focus on her practice. She was so enthusiastic about practicing that she fell off the piano and hit her head. Dr. Cask gave her a compress and asked if she was nervous about her performance in 2 days. He also gave her his phone number in case she needed help. Juliet told him that it was her and Vivian's birthday tomorrow, that her parents were coming back from vacation and inviting them to dinner, and that she wanted Vivian to join them. After practicing with Dr. Cask, Juliet went to Moira's practice room. She sat leaning against the window, imagining how Moira had jumped from the balcony. Suddenly, Max came and startled her. Juliet admitted that she wasn't feeling well, and she immediately hugged Max and asked where Vivian was. Max said that he had just broken up with Vivian. Juliet was happy with his decision and took the opportunity to sleep with Max. But afterwards, Max felt guilty and thought that what they had done was not a good idea. The next evening, it was Vivian and Juliet's birthday celebration, and their mother reminisced about their first experiences performing in front of an audience. Juliet felt upset hearing this and asked her mother to stop talking, so Cassie fell silent and their father took over the conversation. David invited Dr. Cask to talk about his achievements. Cassie expressed her opinion about the future of classical music, which she believed was losing popularity. Dr. Cask was not offended by Cassie's opinion. He emphasized that true music would endure and be preserved by those who were worthy of playing it. Hearing Dr. Cask's words, Vivian felt offended and threw food and drinks at Dr. Cask. After dinner, Cassie and David apologized for Vivian's behavior. Meanwhile, Juliet was trying to contact Max again. Max apologized for last night's incident and considered it a mistake. Dr. Cask offered to drive Juliet home since her house was close to the school. Juliet stopped by Dr. Cask's house briefly to chat and prepare for tomorrow. Dr. Cask taught Juliet how to boost her self-confidence, but Juliet misunderstood and thought he was trying to get close to her. Juliet suddenly kissed Dr. Cask, who was confused and moved away, saying that he only wanted to talk to Juliet and boost her confidence for tomorrow's concert. Juliet finally said that she believed Dr. Cask was secretly in a relationship with Vivian. As she had seen his number saved in Vivian's phone, Dr. Cask remained silent and did not deny the accusation. Juliet's guess was correct. They had indeed slept together, but their relationship had ended. Despite this, Juliet knew that Dr. Cask still called Vivian, and she became disappointed in him, even though she had once idolized him. Now, Juliet compared Dr. Cask to Roger, who could only teach but had not achieved anything in a long time. She was determined to surpass both of them and become a great player. Dr. Cask shattered Juliet's ambition by reminding her that she hadn't won any trophies yet. Annoyed by Dr. Cask's words, Juliet rushes back to the dormitory, recalling some images in Moira's book that have been on her mind lately. Juliet finally draws a new illustration on a blank page with her eyes closed, opening them only when the drawing is finished. It turned out she had just drawn a scene titled Sacrifice, where the character in the drawing was ready to jump off a cliff. Juliet became scared and immediately burned the page. The next day, the long-awaited moment arrived. Juliet hurried to the concert hall. In the dressing room, Wilkins said that Dr. Cass couldn't come because he was sick. Juliet tried to send a message to Max to ask him to talk, but Max hadn't replied to her message from yesterday. Meanwhile, one by one, the performers began to be called, and Juliet was waiting for her turn when Vivian came into the dressing room. Vivian said that Max had told her what had happened between Max and Juliet. Vivian then confronted her, wanting to know why Juliet hated her so much that she had taken her dream away. Vivian suspected that the hatred began because she was a better actress than Juliet. Juliet confidently said that Vivian was indeed better than her in the past. But tonight was the night of the concert. Vivian finally brought her down and said that they had both failed, but Vivian had a more concrete reason for her failure than Juliet. After that, Vivian left the room and wished her luck for tonight's performance. Juliet became very nervous and swallowed her anti-anxiety pills while trying to boost her confidence. Soon, the committee called her name. For a moment, Juliet stood silently behind the curtain. She finally came out and looked awkwardly at the audience. At that moment, Wilkins was waiting for Juliet's signal before the orchestra began. However, Juliet suddenly felt a panic attack and left the stage, walking quickly backstage and crying in frustration. She looked up at the bright yellow light guiding her toward the roof, and without hesitation, Juliet walked to the edge and prepared to jump. The yellow light grew brighter, and Juliet took a step forward and jumped. In her mind, Juliet had just finished her performance and received the award she had hoped for.